Hey, in this episode of Black Wealthy and Wise, today I'm going to be talking with a very special guest of mine, Yvette Morton-Williams, CEO and president of Wash and Spin. So, hey guys, welcome to Black Wealthy and Wise, the number one podcast for helping Black families escape financial slavery and create financial freedom so they can live their best life and leave a legacy for their family. I'm your host, of course, Alex Jones. And every once in a while, I like to try to bring on special guests, people who have experience building wealth, being able to share their stories so we can have some good examples of people who are actually doing it, people who are actually building wealth, people who are creating time freedom for themselves and for their family. And I think it's important that we have examples of that some from time to time. And today we have a special guest, just that. So I want to be able to say hello and welcome to Yvette Morton Williams. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you so much. And of course, Yvette is actually our very first guest on Black Wealthy and Wise. So I want to say thank
Wow.
you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence and being a part of the show and sharing your story with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to
Oh,
be here.
oh, awesome, awesome. So I gave a brief introduction, but if you can kind of tell the listeners, your audience, my audience, just introduce yourself and tell them who you are and what your background is.
Sure. Well, again, I'm Yvette Morton-Williams. I like to say I'm the president and chief inspiration officer of a small chain of upscale laundromats in the metro Atlanta area. And I am an entrepreneur, definitely at this point. Didn't start out that way. I started off in corporate America. I did that for a long time. I did pharmaceutical sales and marketing and then consulting for a little bit. And after about 17 years in that industry, I knew that it was time to move on to something else and to try to create more freedom for myself, more time freedom. It was really a time thing, more than anything, and something that would allow me to be in charge of my schedule and my life in a way that I hadn't really been able to actualize in the pharmaceutical industry. Although I loved that, I had an awesome career there as well. So at that time, my husband and I we were looking in different businesses and we researched so many different types of businesses, and ultimately we landed on it was between car washes and laundromats, and we were trying to find a good store to purchase in New Jersey where we were living last, and that was just obviously not meant to be.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so thankfully it wasn't meant to be, and journey kind of led us down to Atlanta area. I have a lot of family down here. My family from New York relocated to Atlanta area, and I knew I'd wanted to get back here. I came here for a little bit after leaving FAMU,
Uh huh.
um, and couldn't get the job I wanted in pharmaceutical and went to New York
Right.
and then stayed there for 17 years, and took me, like I said, 17 years and two kids and a husband to get back down this way. And then we found the perfect location. So found the first store to buy. And
Well, let's not. We're gonna
Mhm.
save a little bit because
All right, I'll slow down.
oh man, because yeah, this is good stuff. I want everybody to be able to catch all these good nuggets. And I don't know if you caught that, guys. In full disclosure, Yvette and I actually went to college together at Florida A&M University some years back. She looks as young as ever, and I have the snowman going on. Um, and um, and so I didn't realize that you actually spent 17 years in pharmaceutical sales. I didn't realize that.
Well, it wasn't all sales. It was about seven in sales, about five in marketing,
Oh, awesome,
and then
awesome,
the rest in consulting. So I did
awesome,
sales for a
awesome.
little bit.
Oh, that is awesome. I didn't realize that. So, so you spent some time in corporate America, and this experience was a good one for you.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely, it was. I think that's probably mostly what we were groomed to do
Yeah,
right, School of Business and Industry at FAMU was going to corporate America. We all had to do the 3 corporate internships, and I did one with the pharmaceutical company. And at that point, I knew that's what I wanted to do. So, yeah, it was a great experience. It was what I wanted it to be, and I loved every part of it until I didn't.
Right, right. So just real quick for those people who are still working the 9 to 5,
Yeah.
was it something that was the transition from corporate America from your 9 to 5? Was it one that was an easy decision for you to make, or were there a lot of considerations that were there in the process?
Oh, that's a good question, Alex. It was, I think when the time is right, it certainly feels easier.
Mm,
I don't
okay.
know that I would think that it's ever a really easy decision to quit a job where you're comfortable. I've heard the expression the golden handcuffs. You're comfortable. They pay you well. You've got vacation. You're pretty sure of what's coming next, relatively sure. To go out into the unknown, it's if it's not a little bit scary, then I wonder like what's going on. You're probably not stretching yourself enough if it's not a little bit scary. So so it was, but it felt right. It felt like the right time. It was we I went from marketing where I was doing a lot of traveling, and I had 2 young children at the time, and it was a lot. My husband was working an hour to, depending on the New York traffic or the New Jersey Turnpike traffic, it could be 3 hours to get back home sometimes. It was awful. The schedule was really tough, and I knew that that couldn't last for very long. It wasn't allowing me to be the mother that I always thought I wanted to be, and to be there for my children. So that was tough. But
Yeah.
that transition from going from marketing to consulting allowed me that flexibility, which I loved. And I did consulting where I could work from home mostly. And I did that for about 5 years. That was really good. But when the contract ended, then we were trying to decide what was next. Between the marketing and consulting gigs, it was some time where we looked at different businesses. But then the consulting came, and then again, I got comfortable. It was good. I could be mom and be there for everything. And financially, it worked out well for our family, so it was good. And then
Yeah.
when that was over, I thought that this isn't everything that I want to do. I want to do more. I want to go out and have my own thing and my own business. And we were looking at different things that we could do, and so we landed there.
So how did you so what were some of the other things that you were looking at, and how did you guys land on the laundry business?
Wow, we looked at a lot of things. So, Biz Buy Sell is a website that is similar to where you might go and look for houses, except it's for businesses.
And
We
that's
have lots of
and say that again. That's
Biz Buy Sell.
okay. Gotcha. All
Mhm.
right.
And I spent a lot of time on that site in particular, investigating different businesses that were for sale and different types of opportunities. So different things that franchise businesses and all sorts of franchises. Anybody that I knew in sort of business, I was reaching out to them and kind of talking to them and seeing what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it. And I think an important thing is to know yourself and know what you like to do and what you don't want to do and what you think might make you happy. And so after the research that I'd done, we were landing consistently. We were coming back to car washes and laundromats, and I thought that between the two of them, I'd have some flexibility. I thought that it would be something that I might enjoy. And in ways that I didn't even realize, I ended up enjoying them. But we looked at all sorts of things. I mean, from McDonald's franchises to home repair type businesses to stores where you can go in, like small restaurants, convenience
Hmm.
stores, retail stores. I think there were not a lot of stones that I didn't overturn.
So that's awesome. So you guys finally landed on so the kind of two areas: car washes, laundromats, and laundromat was the one that you decided to go for. So you was telling us about your experience with the first one that you were looking at in New Jersey, is it?
Yes.
Okay. If
So Well, it obviously wasn't meant to be. It
Yeah.
wasn't meant to be, and I'm so glad that it didn't go through because I wouldn't be in Atlanta now. I don't think I'd be in Atlanta now, but we found a place there that was a bit older, and it was a couple that was ready to sell, and we were under contract for 9 months, 9 months, and for one thing after another, we were just not able to close that deal.
Mhm.
And then when I really had enough and started thinking that maybe Atlanta was a better opportunity for us, my husband was nearing retirement, the first retirement. And I was like, hey, we've got some flexibility here. No, there's not a whole lot really holding us to remain in this place. And I always thought I wanted to get back south and to better weather. And so we told them we were done. We were done. And then at that point, everybody started doing the things that they hadn't been able to do in the 9 months. But it was too late. We were
Yeah.
ready. He was ready to go
Yeah.
and came down to Atlanta, and things just fell into place. So that
So
also let me know that it was just right.
so how quickly did was the process in Atlanta? How quickly was the process for that one?
I would say probably about 2.5 months. I
Oh,
would say
wow.
from the time I found it to the time we actually closed on the deal.
Okay. Wow,
And
that's
that
pretty
was,
quick.
yeah, I think it was pretty quick, especially considering that I was living in another state. So
Okay.
the real due diligence wasn't able to really, really start until I moved here, which was about, had to be at least 6 months in. I mean, 6 weeks. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So once you got down there and got started, um, did you guys have a lot of support when it came to was your family on board? Friends, family, were they kind of saying, "Yeah, that's the great, that's the right thing to do for you," or were they kind of like, Yvette, do you guys really want to do that?"
Well, I would say I felt supported. I definitely felt supported. We had an interesting situation. My husband was nearing retirement, but not quite there. So I came down initially without him. He
Mhm.
stayed, he had about a year or so to finish working. So he was in New York still at that time working, and I came down here and I had my dad close by, and I felt supported in a lot of ways, but it was all me. I was really the only one working in the business for a long time, for a
Okay.
long time. But I knew that if I needed my dad, he would be there. I felt emotionally supported, definitely, no question about that. And I think that was a big part of being able to go and make that leap. Nobody was
Right.
telling me, "Hey, what are you doing? You're absolutely crazy." I didn't get any of that, and I probably wouldn't have listened to it anyway. But
Right.
yeah,
And I think that's really really important to hear because I think a lot of times when we are making these kind of major decisions, a lot of times you want the support of your friends and your family while you're making these decisions, and sometimes you don't get it.
that's so
You
true.
you
That's
know.
so true. And I know you probably have a lot of experience with, because you've been out on your own doing different things for a long time also. So, I mean, you probably get the gamut of people who are like, yes, and then you may have people that are wishing that they had done that, and then other people that had their nice, comfortable job, whether it's in corporate or with the government, and they're wondering why would you ever leave that safety and security and give up
Mhm.
the guaranteed pension and retirement funds that are down the road. So
Yeah, yeah, and because I can remember, I mean, your parents want to see you do well, and
right,
my dad was like, "Oh, you're gonna leave, you're gonna leave your that good paying job," as
right,
they say, and and I told my dad, I remember telling him distinctly, I said, "Yeah, but it isn't mine." And they could, Kodak, the company I was working for at the time, was going through some serious problems, and so it was just that easy that I could be laid off,
right.
and I didn't want to have someone else be in control of my financial future, to the degree that they were. And so it was a easier decision for me, despite not necessarily having, your family support. Of course, they want to see you do well, but
Mhm.
they also want to make sure that that you aren't making a bad decision. So a lot of it comes from that place, and I can definitely
Absolutely.
understand that.
Absolutely.
So, so you opened your first laundromat. You're down in Atlanta now, and you got started. So, what was your experiences? What were some of the things that you learned along the way um, during this first location?
Wow. A lot. A lot. It was, I come from a family of people who are not entrepreneurs. They are hardworking people that have jobs and keep jobs and um, probably the same job for a long time from the early parts of their career through retirement. So they are comfortable in that area. Um, so I didn't have a lot of up close and personal experience with people who were running businesses. It just wasn't the circles that I traveled in. So although I had gone to school and graduated from SBI and gone on and gotten my MBA from Stern, it's nothing like jumping in. There is nothing like that. So you can study all you want from the sidelines. So once you're in there, it's going to be a whole nother experience. So I learned a lot. I, I learned a lot. It was definitely challenging, and mind you, I was doing like the repairs, like all the repairs on the washers, and there were washers and dryers, nearly 100 machines in this store, and I quickly learned that it was really expensive to call repair people. And when you have all of those mechanical things in one building, something is going to break. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter how old the equipment is. So certainly the newer stuff is going to be less likely to break or break less frequently. But if you have something that's broken and it's out of service, then you miss the opportunity to make money there. And then also you miss the opportunity to leave a good impression on your customers when they come in. You don't want to have the place that has all the out of order signs. So I learned how to how to push myself in ways that I hadn't before. I had to. I learned how to survive and how to um, that story nearly took us under. It really
Mm.
nearly took us under. It was a tough time. That first year was,
So
ooh,
what
really
was the what would you say was the biggest challenge that you were having with the first one?
money. Money is always a challenge when you have
Money, 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 honey.
it's money, right? When you are used to making a certain level of money and then you go to making like a whole lot less money or you go to even losing money. We were propping this business up for a long time, like digging into savings account to keep it afloat. And what I had expected it would make was not quite what it was making. And it was really, it was tough. It was scary. It was all of that you might imagine if you are worried about, you taking a significant portion of your life savings and putting it into some place and then thinking that not only do you not have enough money today, but you may have ruined your chances for having enough money down the road. So, yeah.
So with the so that's one gem, guys. I really want you guys to pay attention to, particularly when you're just kind of getting started in business. Too often, we open businesses or start businesses without having enough capital. We have just enough to get started, but not enough to truly carry the business
Right.
forward and to help it grow and oftentimes to market it. Marketing is
Right.
really key. But we don't have enough resources to do that. And I always used to tell people, usually what you project you're going to make is probably not going to happen, and usually what you think is going to cost you in terms of operating and to get profitable, it usually takes probably 1.5 to 2 times as long, and you have to be able to sustain the business, during that time period. So at what point would you say the business turned profitable for you guys?
We were in for a while, maybe at least the first year and a half.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Well,
Um,
yeah,
you want it. You
I guess it
definitely
could be worse.
you want it to be sooner. That's for sure.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
but
And
but you
everyone
know,
since then has been much sooner, but that first one was, ooh, that was the one that I cut the teeth on. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So that was the biggest challenge. What would you say is I guess probably one of the the best successes that came from it? Obviously, you went from one to four locations, so obviously there was something about the first location you did well. So, what would you say it was that actually allowed you to turn the business, make it profitable, and continue to grow it?
I don't know that there was one big success. We came into a nice sum of cash that allowed us to settle a note. That helped.
Okay.
That helped. And once that note was paid for, then it was way easier to be profitable and then just focus on continuing to grow the business, which we did. So marketing, learning to market better, and learning to manage it better. I got a place that wasn't really, I would say it probably wasn't very professionally managed. It was run and it was okay. It
Mhm.
was a store that had been in existence for a while. The person that we bought it from had 2 years before purchased it himself and it put in all new equipment. So we had newer equipment for a laundromat. 2 years old is not old for equipment at all. Some of that equipment can go 20 years.
Mm,
So to have 2 year old equipment was great. So just being able to get the note paid off and then focus on keeping it clean and doing other things that would bring people in. We also have U-Haul business that we run out of that location too. So just really taking full advantage of that, knowing that people that are coming in renting a truck are new to the neighborhood sometimes. Maybe they're dropping off a truck, they may be new, and if they need a laundromat, we want to make sure that they're going to come back to this one.
okay, awesome. So a very good point there is that there was a an existing another business that worked very well with what was already operating there with the laundromat, and so the U-Haul business was something that definitely was a great addition or another stream of income along with the laundry piece
Yeah.
as well. So awesome. So some years later, now you went from one location to now you're up to how many?
We've got four now.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And so what has allowed you guys to go from the first to the second to the third and now the fourth?
Well, if you want to grow in any business, it becomes increasingly important that you stop working in the business and then allow yourself the freedom to work on the business. You can't have four laundromats and fix all of the machines when they break. I can't do that anymore. So things that you might have even enjoyed doing, you have to realize that you can only do so much if your hand has to be on everything, on every part of the business. So I would say that the single most important thing was to get good people around me and to build a team. If you have to build a team and you have to, and this is very difficult for a lot of us, you have to let go of some things.
Mm,
And I know that it's not uncommon to find successful entrepreneurs who are a bit of a control freak, and you
mhm.
gotta kind of, you want to have your hands on everything, and it can be a challenge to let some things go and to trust that you have great people around you who are going to do well, and then just check in with them, give them a little
Mm.
bit of guidance and let them go.
And what were some of the things you would say that enabled you to do that well? One thing in my mind kind of sticks out. I'm gonna see if you think of the same thing. What do you think some things that help you to relinquish a little bit of that control and put people in a position that they can do well in their areas and roles of responsibility?
Things that help me to relinquish the control
Mm,
is getting the good people. That helps
mhm,
me relinquish the control. If you know you have somebody that you can trust, then it becomes easier to back off.
mm,
So,
mhm, mhm. I agree. I think one of the things that really stuck out in my mind was um, uh, trying to put systems in
mhm,
place and document the process. So here are the things that I was already doing, and these are the outcomes that I wanted to make sure that we maintain,
mhm,
and kind of having those things documented so they can be communicated with the next person who's going to be taking on that duty or responsibility was something that was really helpful for me, and it helped them to have more success because they weren't trying to guess what was in my head and what
right,
I was
right.
trying to do, you know. um,
I totally agree. Systems are key. So we had to create employee manuals and
mhm,
write down all of the expectations and then review the manual, update it periodically, and manuals and operations manuals to let people know how to do. We have forms for everything, and this is the form. This is the checklist that everybody should be doing when they're here. And this is, we did a booklet on how to fold every single piece of clothing and laundry that we can think of. And we documented how that should be done because you want your customers to have a good experience no matter who they're dealing with when they're in your location. So certain things you want to make sure go well. So everybody has to fold this way. Is it, did you fold it this way? And that's a, put somebody in charge of that. Somebody in charge of that, because I can't be in charge of making sure that everybody is folded in a certain way. So I, yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Alex. The systems are key.
and it's the little mundane things that people really just a lot of times people I know sometimes people will start businesses or go into businesses because they have a gift or a talent for doing it, right? And that gift or talent is what some people kind of rely on. And so, unfortunately, it keeps you from being able to expand and grow because everything is so artistic and
Right.
touchy feely, and so it's only because of those systems that you're able to bring people in and they can do it similar to you, maybe not exactly the same way, but it's well enough to your standards, you know. And so yeah, I think that's really, really important. So overall, so now we're up to four locations. Can you tell us the locations where they're located? So in just in case we have some people who are listening in the Atlanta area.
Washington Coin Laundry in Southwest Atlanta. We've got another store in Stonecrest, Evans Mill Laundry out in Conyers. We've got Conyers Best Laundry in Conyers. And then the newest one is Our Best Laundry, which is also in Southwest Atlanta.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So in terms of getting started, um, were all of the locations, were they all self financed, or did you guys get outside financing in order to make each location happen?
Um, well, the first one was we assumed the note that the previous person had had. So we put up a good amount of money and then assumed the note. So together that was the whole purchase price. The second one was um, that was an existing location. Also, we put in all new equipment there. So with that one, we mostly got finance from the manufacturer, the equipment manufacturer, for the number two and number three. Number three was not an existing laundromat at all. We took a store that's in a plaza that had been vacant for a little while, took it and built a laundromat there, which was, that was fun. So it's always fun to me. I like, yeah, I realize that I like being creative and I like being able to design things. And I've got I think, a pretty good eye for what people will like and what they will enjoy. So that allowed me to really, really do that in that location. And again, that was mostly financed through the equipment manufacturer. Then you have to put some money up. So it's like with any loan, usually you come up with the down payment. The bigger the down payment you can come up with is means the smaller your loan repayment will be.
Definitely better terms, all that
Yeah,
good
better
stuff.
terms. Hopefully, all of that. I know a lot of people that do the SBA loans. I have not done an SBA loan. I actually looked into it for the fourth location, and I was not really happy with everything they were asking for. So I declined to proceed with them,
Mhm.
and we actually got financing through another financial institution, which
Gotcha.
worked out well. Yeah, I would
Okay.
definitely recommend if you are able to finance through if you develop a relationship with a local bank, a credit union, usually the smaller banks. If you have a good relationship with them, that's always, in my opinion, a really good way to go. Sometimes buying laundromat equipment through the manufacturer, that's pretty easy. They'll finance a lot of people. They'll
Hmm.
finance you. They're not very difficult to get financing from, and their terms may not be as as good as what you might see through other locations, but you just kind of gotta see whatever is going to work for you. So that's always a good way. There's other company that works mostly with laundromats, Eastern Funding. They're very familiar with the industry, so it's really good to know somebody or to work with people who are really familiar with the industry. But if you have a good relationship with another financial institution, you're usually going to get better terms and if you can go that way. And then the SBA is always that's always a gold standard. Also, a lot of small businesses go through the SBA.
Hmm. So ultimately, do you have kind of a goal or wish list of things that you want to accomplish within the industry or with your business?
Within the
Is
industry, I don't know. I have a wish list. I probably have done more than I even thought I'd want to do when I started. And as you probably can tell, we seem like we're kind of all over the place. I tell people I think I didn't dream big enough. And if I'd started and I knew at the beginning I'd have 4 stores at this point, I may have done more to market them similarly or brand them the same. And I didn't do that initially because I never thought I'd have more than one store. I was like, I'm just going to get one store and I'll be happy. But one store became two, and then it continued to grow. So I'll say I'll keep doing it as long as I'm happy. I recently joined the board of directors for the Coin Laundry Association, which is our only national association for laundromat owners. And that has been a really good experience. And I would definitely recommend anybody who's interested in possibly going into this industry to do as much research as possible. And for me, that included joining the Coin Laundry Association.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I didn't learn about the association to after I had already been under contract with the place that we ultimately ended up buying. But if I were to do it all over again, I would have joined way earlier, way, way earlier in my quest for knowledge. And I think that most knowledge worth having is worth paying for.
Mhm.
So I would have paid the dues. I'd go online. There's so many groups out there that are helpful for people who are in this industry or looking to get in this industry. I'd research them all, join every single one that I could. And but my goal right now, Alex, I don't know. I just want to really have fun. I want to do this as long as it's fun. So far, it's still fun. I want to make sure that I can maintain a level of freedom in my life because I do a lot of things outside of the laundromat. So I'm really active in my community and I love all of those things. So for
Mhm.
me, being able to continue that has been awesome. My children are not little kids anymore, so I don't have the same home
Uh-huh.
obligations that I had when I had a 5 and a 6 year old. Now my children are young adults, so
Right.
they're relatively independent right now, and it gives me time to do things that I really enjoy. And
Yeah.
I would encourage everybody to make sure you're enjoying whatever you do because you're going to look up one day and you're going to be, out of college for 30 years and be like, what the heck happened? Like, how did this happen so quickly?
Man, I tell you,
I
do,
know,
do,
right?
do your kids work in the business at all?
They do work. My daughter doesn't at this time. She has for years in the past, and my son does. He works at two of our stores, and he does some administrative stuff for us. But I really don't get the sense that it's a passion for either of them.
Uh
And
huh.
maybe that might change, or maybe not. And I'm okay either way. I really want them to do whatever they're passionate about, because that's where the good part of life is. You got to enjoy what you're doing.
And that's I'm glad you made that point because I know I know often we talk about generational wealth, creating generational
Yeah.
wealth, and we think about creating these businesses, things that we love and enjoy, right? And we're thinking, oh yeah, we're gonna have this for for our family, and my kids can do X, Y, and Z, and they can, and it's
Yeah.
like, uh, you know it may not be their love. It may not be their passion, um, and I think it's important for for people to understand that and know that.
So true, Alex. Like my kids, they I don't think that they love laundry. And I would say, like, I don't know anybody who grew up saying I want to own a laundromat. Like that's not a it's not a sexy career. It's not at all. And so and like I said, I'm totally fine with it. I learned when I got the first store that I really like working with my hands. Like I didn't have lots of opportunities to do that before, but I've gotten really good at fixing stuff, and it's satisfying to me. And it's totally satisfying. Like I can go in and see some out of order signs, and I know how to put on motors and change water valves and change drains and all sorts
Okay,
of stuff that I never had an opportunity to do before. And I like it, but my
awesome.
kids not so much, and that's fine. I'm like, fine, go do you. That's what I want them to do. So it's important as a business owner that you have an exit strategy too. Like, what is that going to be? You have to have some way down the road that you want to get out of this, because I think more often than not, the children don't tend to be interested in what the parents want. I know so many of my fellow laundromat owners where they're like, yeah, my son's not interested, my daughter's not interested. Maybe the child will marry somebody who might be interested, but I think that that's not going to be the way that you should rely on passing on your story. You got to have some other way in mind getting
I
out.
agree. I wholeheartedly agree, and like you said, I think it at the end of the day, if nothing else, you certainly want to be thinking about how do you build value in your business and what you're doing. So if your legacy decides to continue to stay with it, great. If they choose to even exit the business altogether, there's a plan in place for that. And ultimately, you want to be able to set the next generation up so that they have kind of a leg up to do whatever it is they want to pursue. And I think that's probably more important.
Yeah, exactly. And you can support them whether you are hoping they'll come on board, or you can maybe provide them with money so that give them a boost to do something that they want to do, and that would be great. I didn't have that either,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
or at least you're leaving them with the strong work ethic, and that's a very important legacy that you don't want to devalue. Also, that's extremely valuable to pass on to the next generation.
Bingo, bingo. So, man, I tell you, yeah, I can remember, like I said, back in college, you were always very highly intelligent, great, great skill set, very personable, and I always tell people, you never know, what life is going to, what opportunities is going to afford you, but you're always writing your history, you're leaving your legacy every day. So you want to be mindful about the people you come in contact with, the relationships you build, because those things become important or are important, and can have more importance in your success than you might imagine. So, um,
Well, thank you for the kind words, Alex. I appreciate that.
yeah, yep,
It's
yeah.
always good to see a fellow rattler out there. And when you reached out to me, I'm like, absolutely, I would love to be a guest on your podcast. I'd like to see people do well, and I'd like to think that I may say something that can inspire somebody to do whatever it is that they want to do as well. And I'm sure that's what you're doing. Why you're doing what you're doing. You're trying to inspire families to grow wealth and to be the best versions of themselves that they can, and whatever may be in the way, having conversations like this with that you're having with people on air, off air. I'm sure even at the salon, you're probably talking the same thing, and just teaching people how to step outside of what was probably your comfort zone and to move a little further. And that's where all the good stuff is. You can't keep staying wherever you were. We are designed to grow. We are designed to improve, and that's our default. So if you aren't doing it, then it's something that you should look at
Mhm.
and just know that it's going to be better if you can do that. Get the obstacles out your way. So thank you for opening up this forum for me to come and for others to come and for sharing things. I know you're going to touch a lot of people.
Well, thank you so much. And so, if you could remind us of your locations once again and your association as well.
It's the Coin Laundry Association, also called the CLA. We have a big event they do every 2 years. So this one will be coming up this summer. They postponed last year. I know you didn't ask me all of this, but I had to put this in. This called the Clean Show, and it's going to be in Atlanta this year. So every 2 years they do a different location. I would definitely recommend if somebody's interested in the industry to check that out. The Clean Show,
What
register
dates
and come. It's going to be it
or time
is
frame?
the end of July. It's in the
Okay.
summer. So the end of July, I want to say it's the 28th or so.
Okay.
And it's for a few days over that weekend and at the end of July.
Okay.
So definitely check them out. And then my locations, washandspin.com, evansmilllaundry.com, conyersbestlaundry.com, our best laundry. Hold on to that one. That one we should be opening in another few weeks or so. We're trying to get everything all wrapped up at this point.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us and sharing your words of wisdom. Obviously, that's the reason why you're so successful. And guys, if you have any questions associated with the laundromat industry or the laundry business, I would say first reach out to the association and learn as much as you possibly can there. And I'm quite sure Yvette would be more than willing to help answer some questions for you as well. So thank you so much for spending some time with us, for sharing your story with us. And as always, guys, I want to just say, hey, there are plenty of opportunities out there for you to build wealth. This is yet another one. And so we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.